I think these days I start every video about leather jackets with the words, no item of clothing is cooler than a leather jacket. There is no item of clothing cooler than a good leather jacket, but it's still true. But the reason leather jackets aren't just cool, but the world's coolest clothing item, you know, a lot of it's because you've seen cool people doing cool stuff in movies. So as someone who is a complete freak for leather jackets and looks for any excuse to talk about them on my channel, I'm making a list of cinematic history's 5 coolest leather jackets. But you could also just call this video 5 reasons leather jackets are so cool. I would be an absolute idiot if I didn't put pop culture's best known leather jacket front and center, and of course it's Indiana Jones. And unfortunately, there's no one leather jacket that he wore. It was slightly different for each movie, though I think most people wouldn't notice the differences. All of his jackets, I mean, I'll just say his jacket singular. His jacket is reminiscent of A2 flight jackets, though without the elasticated cuffs and waist. It was designed actually by Deborah Nadelman Landis, and the maker that usually gets named for this jacket is England's Wested Leather Co., who sell 3 jackets for each of the original trilogy. But it's harder than some folks will tell you to get the Indiana Jones jacket. The originals were made by Peter Buttright at Wested, but The Last Crusades was sold through Berman's and Nathan's. But US Wings has had a license to sell official Indiana Jones jackets as well. Leather jacket history, as you'll see throughout this video, is surprisingly complex and often highly contested, and I'm reluctant to make any definitive claims about any of them. I'll tell you this though, Wested's jackets are all under $400, and most of them are lambskin, to be fair, which is cheaper than cowhide and even often goatskin versions that Wested sells. But it's sort of too cheap for a leather jacket. Something's just not quite right there. A good leather jacket is not under $400. Meanwhile, the US Wings jacket is $650, which is cheap, but acceptably cheap for a leather jacket, and that one's made of cowhide. But Dr. Jones was a colonel in World War II.
Don't wave your war record in our face, Colonel Jones. We all served.
His jacket probably would have been goatskin or maybe horsehide, and Cockpit USA actually sells an American-made horsehide jacket that is totally his jacket, but they don't use the name Indiana Jones, and it's $840, which is actually a very good price for an American-made horsehide piece. Now, some jackets on this list are pretty simple, but if you like a more flashy jacket, nothing on this list is as, we'll say, ornamental as Maverick's jacket from Top Gun. This piece is similar to the G1 flight jacket with a shearling collar. That model was issued to aviators in the US Navy, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard. Now, this model is based on early 1960s military specifications, and Cockpit USA, they did not sponsor this video. They are the brand that does not have the legal right to call their Indiana Jones jacket the official one, but they do have the right to say they made the Top Gun jacket, which they've even treated to make it appear well worn when you first get it. Sort of like pre-faded jeans, but it's a lot harder to do with leather. Apparently Cockpit's founder invented the process, and they wouldn't tell me anything about how they do it, but they can make pre-beaten up leather jackets for you. It is understood that Maverick's jacket belonged to the character's Vietnam veteran father, and the patches weren't random. They included several Easter eggs that paid homage to real-life naval history. Explaining them all would make this video a full hour long, easily, but one interesting tidbit is that in the Top Gun sequel, the USS Galveston Far East Cruise 63-4 patch was replaced with an Indian Ocean Cruise 85-86 patch, because the Galveston one included Japanese and Taiwanese flags, which would have probably jeopardized the film's distribution in China. Cockpit also supplied the government issue CWU-36P Nomex jacket that Tom Cruise wore in the sequel. These are the jackets that look like they're made of nylon, but it's technically a fire-retardant aramid polymer that's related to nylon and not the same thing. Again, people get very specific about their claims with a jacket history here. Anyway, that Top Gun jacket is sold at Cockpit USA here in New York City for $995, or you can get the same jacket without the patches for $780, which is a pretty good deal for an American-made leather jacket, especially since it's made of vegetable tanned goatskin, which is a long-standing leather of choice for military jackets. And I did a video at Shot NYC's factory comparing the pros and cons of different animal leathers for jackets, and they said that goatskin is actually tougher than cow, if you're wondering. So you should check out that video up here or in the description below to learn more about what kind of leather you want on your jacket. Whoop, I'm wearing a different shirt. If you are the kind of guy who likes a good leather jacket, you've probably been trying to see what watch I've been wearing for this video as well, and this is a different one, but both watches are from the one brand that I wear, the only one that I wear, which is Veya, who are the sponsor of today's video. They're best known for field watches, but here I'm wearing one of their chronographs, and the price is great. My newest watch here is a tactical field watch. It's assembled in the USA, and you can get a hand-wound automatic version for $659. But I actually really love this one, which is made from a sunlight-powered solar quartz battery. It's assembled in the USA and it costs $349. But I really like solar quartz because yes, it is cheaper, but also it's less fragile. It doesn't have to get serviced as often as my automatic watches do. It's also more accurate, and I don't have to set the time every time I leave the house. 6 hours of sunlight gives it 6 months of battery life. This watch and that chronograph and many others in solar quartz and automatic and just regular cheap quartz are all available at Veya at the link in the description below. The next most iconic leather jacket is that of the T-800 Terminator. As we all know, there have been only 2 Terminator movies, and each of the only 2 Terminator movies put Schwarzenegger in 2 different asymmetric black leather motorcycle jackets that he took from 2 different horribly injured motorcyclists.
Your clothes. Give them to me.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
But both jackets are made by the same very small California brand, which is Bates Leathers. It's a little bit like Shot NYC's famous Perfecto jacket in that it has an asymmetric front, epaulettes, a deep pocket with a coin flap, but Bates Leather has the claim to fame here as the makers of the T-800's jackets. In the first movie, he's wearing their Highwayman, which was bought off the rack because that movie's budget was too low to be getting custom leather jackets made for them, but Terminator 2's budget was about 20 times bigger, and they were able to ask Bates to make a unique jacket specifically for the T-800, which they seem to just call the T2. The film's wardrobe department painted over the jacket's brass hardware to look silver. You can see overspray paint on the screen-used piece. That's a detail that helped Prop Gallery authenticate one of Arnold's jackets many decades later. Anyway, Bates Leather, that's the only place to get the original pattern, and they'll actually make it for your custom measurements for just $2,745. Or you can get a Highwayman jacket for about $1,000 less. The thing is that every movie badass wears a leather jacket, but as far as a specific jacket having a specific impact on pop culture and leather jacketry overall, I think Marlon Brando's motorcycle jacket in The Wild One might have had an even more of an impact than Schwarzenegger's. I mean, it definitely did. I probably could have put this at number 1, but everyone would be like, what about Indiana Jones? But anyway, Brando's jacket. It is an incredibly contentious topic because it is common knowledge that he wears a Perfecto jacket from Shot NYC. They made this cafe racer, who even have a picture of it in their store here in New York City. But it's not quite as clear cut as that. Brando actually wore one from a brand called Durable, which is a brand that doesn't exist anymore. Now, there are some reports that Shot bought Durable, which would kind of give them the right to say that they're the ones who made the Brando jacket, or at least an argument for it. But it's actually weirdly hard to verify that. I asked around the leather jacket community, which of course is a thing that exists. They say that the late Gail Hawkins, who was the administrator of Shot NYC's online forum, confirmed they didn't buy Durable, but that post got deleted, and I'm terrified to say anything about Brando's jacket because people argue about it so much. But whether or not you'd call Brando's jacket a Shot, this asymmetric biker jacket is one of the most influential leather jacket designs on earth. Every brand that makes leather jacket makes one that is, let's say, inspired by this pattern. You might find an authentic Durable jacket on the seconds market for a few grand, but if you want the Brando jacket, especially because Durable doesn't exist anymore, you could be forgiven for getting a Shot Perfecto, especially if you get the 1-star that is in horsehide, which is model 613. I mentioned horsehide a couple times here. It used to be a lot more common to get jackets made of stiffer and thicker horsehide than cowhide, mostly because we used to ride a lot more horses, before cars were everywhere, and we also used to eat a lot more horses as well. Like, there were just a lot more horsehides going around back in the day, and it's why today, if you're a real leather jacket enthusiast, there's a good chance that at least one of your jackets, if not all of them, are made with horsehide. That's like considered the jacket leather. Speaking of which, I did this video on the fanciest high-end Japanese leather jackets, which are mostly made of horsehide too. So you should check out that video up here or in the description below. Now, to be honest, no other jackets on this list are on the level of those first 4. And remember, we're talking about cinema's greatest leather jackets and not just the most influential leather jackets, because that list would include the A2 and the B3, but we're talking about jackets worn in movies that really made a dent in pop culture by characters who are cool and probably ride motorbikes and have adamantium claws. Yes, we are putting Wolverine on this list. Logan has appeared in 10 X-Men movies and X-Men adjacent movies, but as the most influential leather jacket, it's the one he wore in the first X-Men that came out in 2000, and I guess X-Men Origins, which is not a good movie, but it does put him in a leather jacket more prominently than the other Wolverine movies.
It fits you beautifully.
The brand that makes Wolverine's jacket is Vanson. They made this cafe racer style jacket. That's the style I'm wearing right now, but theirs is a little bit different. It's got a Mandarin style collar. It's made in the United States specifically for the 2000 movie, and people are pretty sure he's wearing the same one in Origins. The jacket has 3 stripes on the biceps to represent his 3 claws, and also to bring to mind the stripes on his comic costume. I have the entire collection of the 95 Flair Ultra X-Men trading cards from when I was a kid, and also 94 Marvel Masterpieces. I am very familiar with comic book Wolverine from the 90s. But if you want to be really authentic, you'll have to find a way to tear one of the stripes off on the left arm. What I think is an underappreciated element of Wolverine's jacket is that the zipper pockets on the front, they're really big. They look like they've been slashed into the jacket, which I think is pretty cool. And the zippered cuffs as well that you normally see on cafe racer jackets, they extend all the way to his elbows. Again, I think to bring to mind the idea of like slashing and tearing. Vanson now sell this jacket to the public. They call it the Wolverine, and it's $800, which isn't too bad for an American-made leather jacket that doesn't have that seam running across the chest, which you get on cheaper leather jackets. Unless they're like modeled after trucker jackets, like this horsehide shot one. That's meant to be there. But usually, if a jacket has a seam running across the chest here, it's because they didn't want to use one big piece of leather there, and that saves some money. So if it's expensive and you get that seam running across the chest. I also want to give an honorable mention to the leather jacket with the giant collar that Wolverine wore when he time traveled back to the 1970s in Days of Future Past. Let me know if you know who makes that one, because when you Google it, you just find crap like this, which is way too cheap. And lastly, number 6, I thought I'd give you a bonus one because it's always good to over-deliver and under-promise, but also because this jacket would probably be an unsatisfying entry in the main 5 because you cannot buy it. I am an American citizen. I'm also an Australian. What's the best American-Australian action hero? I guess I could say Hugh Jackman, but I am talking about Mad Max Rockatansky himself for jackets that truly embody the idea of durability, engine grease, the apocalypse, and regret. It is hard to think of a better example than Mad Max and his Main Force Patrol jacket, or MFP, which was custom made by the film costumers in Australia. Basically, they modified biker jackets with unique details for the fictional MFP. Key features include a large notched lapel collar, diagonal zip for blocking the wind, a distinctive scalloped rear yoke seam on the back, and if you're looking at the Road Warrior, a quite daring one-sleeve design. The jacket in the second and third movies differs by having 2 hand pockets instead of the one in the first movie, but it seems like they were all just made for the movies. There's no brand selling the authentic Mad Max jacket. But again, let me know if you've heard differently, because there are some real PhD level scholars in the world of leather jacket fans. And yeah, that's my list. One more honorable mention. John Wick had a Garen brown leather jacket from Hugo Boss that they don't sell anymore, so you probably can't get that one either. But everyone's pretty sure it was a lambskin one from the 2013 season. And if seeing Keanu Reeves is making you wonder, well, hey, didn't Neo have a leather trench coat in The Matrix? The answer is that's not a jacket, that's a trench coat, but also no, his trench coat was made of trench coat. And now that's the video. Please let me know what I missed in the comments below. Again, we're just talking movies. I could have gone into Elvis's that he did some of his concerts in, but we're just doing movies here. And since there's a decent chance you're watching this video because you're considering getting a leather jacket, make sure you watch this video I filmed with Shot on the 5 main types of leather jackets that you can buy. That's it. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.